So now we go through to the second group of races for the afternoon, and going back to the Junior SM19 Mini GPs. Arnie Carr was the fastest qualifier this morning, only rider to break the 1 minute marker. Luca Wilkinson in second, Daniel Stevenson, Jack Newton in fourth, Hudson Cooper and Thomas Bond running at the top 6 in the morning qualifying. And looking further down the field, Charlie Cunningham was in 7th from Billy Carter, Charlie Ward 9th, Brooke Champion running at the top 10, Owen Tempest and Pierce Reeves taking us down to 12th position, Finley Hanna in 13th from Logan Connolly, Leo Soliu in 15th position, Ollie Brooks, Jack Beard, Ava Cushing, no time in qualifying, so rounding out the field in 18th. I think we did lose a couple of riders earlier on today, but the rest of the field making their way out for Moto number 2. And of course the junior riders out a lot earlier on today, so had a few more of the adult groups earlier on. So of course you get this in the motocross as well. When you've been out early on in the program and you've had quite a long time off the bike, you're coming out onto a very different circuit.
That's very true. I mean, it was cool, it was greasy, it was quite slippery earlier on, but now it is a completely different racetrack, as you say, and I think this time the riders are obviously going to have to be very circumspect in the opening lap, because there's going to be a lot more grip to play with. So which riders will get out of the blocks and be a bit more aggressive early doors, and who will have a little bit too much energy in the bike in that opening lap? They've got to try and rein it in, essentially, particularly for these younger riders. It's always very difficult to know who's going to bolt out of the blocks and go for it, because as you mentioned, you know, the circuit is going to be very, very changeable compared to what we saw earlier this morning. The circuit obviously itself, in terms of the camber, is quite abrasive in nature, but with the surface of the circuit now being a lot drier, a lot more grippy, it'll be tougher for all of the competitors out there to maintain a decent vigil on that opening lap.
So riders now making their way down onto the grid for their second moto of the day, and well, we were told that there may be a slight reduction in the race times, because we did have some lengthy red flags earlier on today, which of course hope those riders are not seriously injured. It did take a while into the race, into the program you might say, so this may mean that we have a shorter second race. Of course that does mean that the start will be very important indeed. Riders last few making their way onto the grid. You got the high-vis jackets at the back there, that indicates that it's a novice rider. So it's just a warning for some of the more experienced guys, particularly at the front, that these riders are new to the sport. They might not be so experienced when they're being overtaken, so just be careful. Expect possibly a sudden line choice, line change you might say, in the corner. And always good to see the novices out on the track as we wait for, I think they're ready to go. Just waiting for the grid to clear here. We're just being told to clear the grid here as we are ready to get the race underway. Moto number 2 of Junior SM19, the Mini GP. Flag goes up. Once the flag drops, of course, we are underway. And here we go for race number 2. Good jump on the outside there from Luca Wilkinson, who has got the lead. Arnie Carr in there as well. And Carr looks quick on the outside though as they make their way up towards Christmas Corner. Tries to cut down the inside. The 135 of Jack Newton in third. But lovely move down the inside from Carr, but will he make it stick? Yes, he does. He had to be brave into the corner there. He really had to be committed, because Wilkinson was trying to shut the door there, but Carr just kept on going.
He was. I mean, Wilkinson had to make sure he left enough space for Carr, but Carr was almost hesitating as he came into the corner as well. He was like, well, have I got this move on? Have I not? So he just kind of had to make a decision in a split second there, whether he powered on the throttle or whether he reined off onto the brake. But he did the right thing there. He averted the crisis. He managed to get the overtaking move done. And because of Wilkinson's slight hesitation, he's been able to already get a little bit of an advantage there. You can see he's already built up, look, a good sort of 7 to 8 bike lengths over Wilkinson. So Carr running a good race out in front. And second place, well, it's going to be a tough one, because Daniel Stevenson, championship leader before today, is definitely starting to make inroads into Wilkinson now.
Stevenson with a good second half of the lap there. Of course, this race is a little bit shorter than the first moto, so a little less time for Stevenson to get through, but Arnie Carr getting a great jump as Stevenson charges down the inside. He's got to be brave onto the brakes to make that one stick, but no, Wilkinson learning from the first lap and determined to shut that door. We've got the 4th position, Jack Newton, Hudson Cooper, Charlie Cunningham a bit further behind, and a bit further back we've got Ollie Brooks and Ava Cushing going through towards the back of the field. There's the 217 of Hudson Cooper, just trying to pull away now from Jack Newton as we look back at Stevenson.
Well, that's good.
Wilkinson wide entry there, just seemed to get the exit speed there as well.
That's good news for Cooper then, if he's just made the move on Newton. But here comes Stevenson again. But once more, he's got to be so cautious about when he makes his move on Wilkinson. This is exactly a rerun of race 1, isn't it? Because this is exactly how it ended before. Stevenson trying to get the move on Wilkinson, with Cooper and Newton essentially chomping at the bit to try and close up. Cooper looking very strong, though, up in 4th place now, having got the move on Newton, and he sets a personal best lap, which means that he's now on terms again with the likes of Wilkinson and Stevenson. It's not going to be too long before he's chomping at the bit to try and get into 2nd place. But Arnie Carr, what a performance from him so far. Everyone else is still in the 61s and the 62s for the lap. He's just done a 58.82. No one's going to win this race unless their name is Arnie Carr.
Really flying at the front then, Arnie Carr, but at the moment, Stevenson just trying to get some lines on the exit here. The number 11, black leather's easy to identify against Wilkinson as they start to catch up on some of the tail enders. I think that may possibly be Ava Cushing. Leo Solly a little bit further ahead as well. Stevenson trying to have a look down the inside as they go into boot, but not quite close enough. Wilkinson guards the apex on the inside. Stevenson now has got to try and find some exit speed around the final few corners, but Wilkinson looks clear through here as again Arnie Carr breaking the 1 minute barrier. Really on a pace ahead of these 2nd and 3rd place runners. It's all about the battle for 2nd place so far. Hudson Cooper a little bit further back in fourth from Jack Newton as the 76 of Luca Wilkinson up into the top corner. Stevenson looking strong, but at the moment it looks like Wilkinson has got the lines sorted out at the moment. He did look a bit vulnerable going into Christmas corner earlier on, but he seems to have found a bit of pace.
And let's not forget that 2nd and 3rd, Wilkinson versus Stevenson, this is the victory battle in Junior SM90. Carney up in front in the Mini GP 90s in a different class, so he's obviously able to stretch out the gap with the confidence on the bike. But Wilkinson versus Stevenson, this is essentially not just the race battle, but it's also the title battle between these two. Stevenson with 100 points, Wilkinson with 90 up until this point. So Wilkinson beating Stevenson is actually quite critical in terms of the title fight.
Have to be careful there with Ollie Brooks on the 19. As, Ollie Brooks lets the 3rd place man through Stevenson. There was a moment there because Brooks came into the corner and I don't think realised that Wilkinson was approaching there.
Well, it's difficult when they catch you unawares and you've got a little bit more speed underneath you than you feel that you have. It's always a very critical situation. Wilkinson sets the new fastest lap he's done, which is a 1:01.81, still a good 3 seconds off the pace of Arnie Carr. But the critical nature of this is that he's able to stretch out a gap of Stevenson to 1 second. That's what getting through the traffic the way that he has done has been able to give him a little bit of momentum. And obviously Stevenson being 10 points ahead of him in the 20 points ahead of him, because Wilkinson had 80 coming into this weekend, Stevenson had 100. So Wilkinson gaining ground on Stevenson is actually very critical in terms of the nature of the title fight, because it definitely evens things up a little bit and it brings the title fight back to him to a certain degree. He's going to take about 10 points out of his tally going into the next round. So this is a great ride from Wilkinson, and when he needed to do it as well.
Well, he's starting now to eke away from Stevenson in 3rd as they make their way around to complete another lap. This, of course, the 2nd group of racing now. Back to the junior riders. Just a shout out for Sophie Coleman about the Pit Bike Stock 140. Just had the first race of that one, actually. Here's a bit of a delayed programme due to the red flag, so be about 8 races time a bit later on this afternoon, although the races have been shortened because of those incidents. Looking further back here, that was Logan Conley, the 25, currently running a lap down in 13th position, battling with Finley Hanna and Leo Soliu. Those riders sweeping down the inside is the 76 of Luca Wilkinson. Wilkinson pulling away all the time now from Stevenson, and a bit of a slightly better racecraft, you might say, from Wilkinson, who's got through the back markers nice and neatly. 12 seconds adrift of Arnie Carr, who has swept away at the front of the field. Just to recap the rest of the top 10, Charlie Cunningham in 6th, just behind Jack Newton, Thomas Bond, Brooke Champion, Charlie Ward and Owen Tempest rounding out the top 10. Really close actually for 6th place with Cunningham and Bond. But here we see Wilkinson round to complete another lap and looking very neat in that 2nd place. This is the man of the race so far, though. Arnie Carr has had the race all to himself.
Well, absolutely, and he's been so strong over the course of racing. It's unfortunate that his closest rival in that particular category, Billy Carter, has been unable to continue on after his fall earlier on that brought out the red flags in the first race. But Arnie Carr, he is under no pressure at all up front. He's opened up the gap to Wilkinson to 15 seconds. Stevenson's in some trouble, though. He's fallen down the order behind Wilkinson. He's still there in third, but Newton has caught him right up as they came across the line there. In fact, look, there is Stevenson, under big pressure from Newton and Cooper.
Newton has really found a bit of pace towards the end of the race here, and Stevenson coming under some real pressure. The 2:17 of Hudson Cooper, not too far behind here as we make our way towards boot once again. There's the 1:35 then. Newton. Cooper is just all over the back wheel there.
I wonder if Stevenson's had an off somewhere, you know, because he's lost a massive amount of time to Wilkinson in a very short space of time. He was only a second back from him. Yeah, he's had a slow lap. He's had a slow lap the last time back. His last lap was a 1:06. So he's come off the circuit somewhere, lost about 5 seconds, and now he's got Newton and Cooper all over the back of him. So Stevenson's got to get back on with this.
And of course, this is the trouble when you lose pace with the rider in front. It's just a case of trying to get back into contention. Just a shout out, actually looking at some people asking on the YouTube about how old the riders are in this race. This is a group of riders aged 7 to 10 years. So this is very much the junior class, and these riders with the high-vis vests on, that's the 23 of Ava Cushing, currently in 16th place. The novice riders wearing the high-vis jackets, just to indicate that they are inexperienced riders. So these riders 7 to 10 years old in this group, very much the youngest group as we look again at the number 11. So evidently out of camera shot, Daniel Stevenson has made some sort of a mistake on that previous lap, and this has allowed the 135, really has got the bit between his teeth here now. Newton ran the final corner as we head towards the penultimate lap. At the moment, Arnie Kart, only rider running under the 1 minute marker, leading by 18 seconds from Luca Wilkinson. Daniel Stevenson third, and it looks like Stevenson at the moment has regained a bit of composure going into this penultimate lap.
Yeah, I think he needed to. I think it was essentially just a couple of laps of realising, yes, I've made the mistake, I've made the error. I now need to get back into position here. There's nothing I can do about it. I can't close up on Wilkinson now. He's gone, but I can maintain third. But I know my way enough around the course now to be quite consolidatory about how I just get myself back into my rhythm and back into my metronomic pace. There's no issue for him here. He's still going to be second in class as long as he maintains in front of Newton and Cooper. So it's essentially the best of a difficult situation that he's been able to work with. But look at this man, Arnie Carr. He's just been, there's only one word for it, flawless.
Has been very, very smooth indeed going through Christmas for the final time, and as you can see, looking quite relaxed at the front, just taking his time to pick his way through the back marks. Although I think we say back marks, I think some of these riders are on the edge of the top 10. Actually, I think that was 34. Charlie Cunningham about to be lapped, who's well into the top 10. Again, you see Arnie Carr just using his head here. He's coming up against Cunningham, who's racing for position and not in a great rush to get through. He just nips his way down the inside. Now with a clear track, and Arnie Carr making his way into boot for the final time. It's been a wonderful afternoon for him. The gap in front, he can take his time going around this final corner. The number 83, Arnie Carr. It's been a brilliant afternoon and will take his second moto win. Punches the air as he goes through. Cunningham looks pleased, a lap just ahead actually, the 46. We saw that battle with Charlie Cunningham and Brooke champion for 7th place, sorry, yes, as Wilkinson should be coming through any moment now in second. There we see Arnie Carr, the race winner. Here's the battle for second. Oh, just lost group momentarily, but it looks like Wilkinson will take second. Stevenson should be in third. Yes, oh, only just Newton and Cooper. Saw that action behind there, but Arnie Carr really has been the rider of the weekend in this class.
Yeah, he's just been so serene and strong out in front. He's got the measure of this Mini GP90 of Arley, and it's absolutely perfect as far as he's concerned. He's really given it 10 tenths all weekend long. He's never really let up. He's been the fastest in qualifying. He's nailed it in both races. He can really open up the emotions now. He doesn't have to worry about anything else now. He can really celebrate, and it's 2 from 2. That takes him one step closer to a title in the Rich Energy British Mini Bikes in 2020, and he can be so proud of himself for today. It's not been easy in the slightest, but he really has made it look like child's play.
Certainly has, and just going to show only 6 riders finishing on the lead lap. There's some quick riders in this group. Of course, they are the youngest riders, only 7 to 10, but they've experienced racecraft with some of the front runners. But even 7th place Charlie Cunningham ended up lapped. Just goes to show how quick things were.